transpired behind the scenes which caused the statement and reactions?
Ano?
This one or the increased
The
calls for the
increased
withdrawal?
calls for the withdrawal for Isko. Coming from his background, when you tell him to mabitabi ka, in his mind, in his heart, it was very offensive. Yun na naramdaman, dating sa kanya parang mabigat. It was very hard for him. So, it was a reaction na, ba't mo ako pinag-withdraw? Ikaw mag-withdraw. Okay? And then, based of course on what we discussed on the numbers, we had a quantitative background for that kind of discussion. But we admit, it was not really part of the script at that particular point. It came about when the question and answer.
Okay, and this is about the numbers, not because babae ang isang kandidato.
No. With due respect, that was never an issue with our candidate. If Senator Marcos was the one who asked him to withdraw, he would have been saying the same thing. He doesn't really factor that in, although it does come out, probably optics-wise, but that was never really factor with him when his decision came.
And ito yung basis ng pagkasabi, yung basketball analogy ni Isko na pwede bang magpasam na lang kasi baka kami maka 3-point shots kami.
That was at the back of his mind, I would presume.
Richard, you want?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at the numbers now. More than half of Isko's numbers could go to BBM if he withdraws. But Lenny could only benefit around like 20% or something like that. So a withdrawal of Isko will not significantly help the Robredo camp. It will more help the BBM camp. That is why I don't understand some folks are calling for Isko to withdraw if their purpose is to defeat the front runner, right? I think the better Isko does in this race is better for the opposition, it's better for the race to make it more competitive, among other things. So yun ang tinitingnan ko. But at the end of the day, you don't, it's like beauty queen pageant, right? No one remembers the first runner-up,
Exactly.
And the reality is that both Lenny and BBM by far have far more converted to first preference. And if you look at some of the others, I think Publicos Asia among others, that they're showing that the elasticity in voter preference is also diminishing significantly. So for instance, it looks like in the Robredo and BBM camp, up to 70% are saying they're not going to change their mind. Again, I'm not taking each survey as on face value. I think we have to triangulate them. But I think there's this perception in the Isko camp is that they have so much room for improvement, while the Lenny camp is hitting a ceiling. I'm not sure about that because if you look at the Pulse Asia survey, it looks at more than 10 points that Lenny can improve further from her 24 points. So she can still go up to 30 points or more. And by the way, I'm not very sure about whether it's very clear to when you ask a person in the survey, sinong clearly number 2, number 3 preference, I think it's much more fluid than that. As I've been arguing, I think there are a lot of folks among Generation Z who are not very invested in different camps. There are folks in Mindanao who are not very happy Sara didn't run. I think they're much softer than many people assume. So for me to dismiss that Lenny is hitting her ceiling is a little bit premature, while at the same time I understand where the Isko camp is coming because they're looking at how much potential they may have because their ceiling might be also very high.
Yeah. Remember a few weeks back, Richard, you were here on the show, we talked about itong unity, no? Because nga, ang iniisip nila lahat is, and maybe we wrongly thought, no? Na parang, how do you defeat the number 1, BBM? Because he's so way ahead, and then, ang daming daw natatakot sa isang Marcos Jr. presidency, di ba? So, of course, to do that, you need to, unite. Para bang sana one-on-one na lang yung labanan, di ba?
But this
now you're saying
negotiation
is
should have been
it's
done
not
a year
happen.
ago, right?
Yeah.
And that was the point. And what's happening now is each candidate is giving a different version of what went wrong. Isko has his own version. I know what this version is. Sarah Lacson even responded to one of my tweets arguing against that version. The Lenny camp, I'm sure Barry has his own version.
Yeah.
For me, we're the adults in the room. I'm sorry to say it, because this is not how adults handle politics, just to be honest about it. I know I'm the youngest guy in this panel, but I just have to say it. I have to say, I'm not very impressed with the level of maturity I'm saying here. Everyone is like passing the ball.
And I remember what you said a few weeks back, again, when you were on the show, di ba? You were saying, dapat natapos itong March. Well, ano ba tayo? April.
Yeah.
April, ano tayo ngayon?
Yeah, kaya nasabi ko, diminishing elasticity in voter preference. That's a very important factor. I think it was 45 to 50% last month. Now it's down to 30% who may change their mind, based on some of the surveys. Again, I think it's perhaps more than that. But I'm looking at the numbers, it's not looking very encouraging. I think we're past the point on that,
Yeah, way past the point. No? So we're looking at President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. We're gonna have to take a quick break, more insights from our guests. Talaga. May pag-asa para. When we return, this is Politics as Usual. Stay with us.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, ikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement, gama sa Davao para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement, ato ni Bay.
It's a big challenge, and had they decided to unite and support a single candidate, it would still be challenging, but it would be attainable. No? But at this point, the challenge for the Robredo camp is really just to continue, because looking at the Okta research results and the Pulse Asia survey results, the momentum is on their side. But time is of the essence.
Welcome back to Politics as usual. I'm Pio Ontiveros. Nag-iisip tuloy ako dun sa title ng episode natin. Siguro dapat tanggalin na natin yung question mark, no? But let's check first in with Barry Gutierrez. Again, spokesman for the Leni Robredo campaign. Barry.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Richard and Gilbert had already said a mouthful, so I'm sure you want to jump right in and respond. Go right ahead.
Well, first, I feel compelled to agree with Richard, because I don't want to be confused with one of the non-adults in the room. But I think that I agree with what July said in the last segment. It's our strategy really at this point is just to continue on. The recent surveys have been very encouraging. Her numbers are continuing to go up. And one thing I think that we have to factor in is the unprecedented level of support coming from volunteers and ordinary people. I think is something new to elections. I have personally never seen this level of volunteer engagement in any other national campaign that I have been part of or that I have observed. And I think that going into the last 20 days, that's really going to be the key to pulling out a last-minute victory here in this election.
Volunteer engagement needs to be reflected in the votes, right? Is that what's going to happen, or are we going to see a President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. or and a President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the first runner-up who is going to be VP Leni? Is that what we're going to see?
I'm sorry, Pia, you're breaking up. Your audio is kind of choppy.
Okay. Are we going to see a President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and a first runner-up Leni Robredo? Because volunteer engagement, increased volunteer engagement, and no matter how wonderful and nice and cute your rallies are, but if those are not translated into votes, then that's nothing.
Well, we think that's precisely what I was saying. We think they will translate into votes. We think that the house-to-house campaign, the efforts being done by volunteers at the grassroots level within their own networks, on election day, that will translate into votes. So we don't. I don't agree that 3 weeks away from the election, we're already going to call it. I think that a lot can still happen. I think that the momentum is ours, and we are still going to win this come election day.
Doesn't it worry you that, according to the studies that the Isko Moreno campaign came up with, na ang second preference is 80% of Isko votes, if he were to withdraw, would go to BBM. Isn't that worrisome for you?
Well, first of all, if you look at different surveys, they will tell you different things about second preference insofar as voters are concerned. That's the first point. The second point is, and here I agree with Richard completely, it's sort of an abstract question. If you ask a voter, who will be your second choice? I don't think people have actually, contemplated and thought the answer to that as thoroughly as they actually decide on the first choice for candidates. So I think that it's more fluid than the numbers would lead us to believe. and that there is still a lot of room for conversion. Besides, just going by the trends in recent surveys, it is VP Lenny who has gained the most out of any of the candidates, which is proof positive that people are in fact shifting to her, at least in the last few weeks of this campaign.
Buddy Zamora, Sir Buddy, campaign spokesperson, campaign manager for Senator Manny Pacquiao. What are your thoughts on this?
How's that again?
What are your thoughts on this, sir?
Well, all of this are speculation, no? We're just about 19 days from election day. There's no need to speculate. Let's just wait for the results of the ultimate survey on May 9. Because all of these are just, all assumptions. Let's just wait. It's near enough. No need to speculate on who will be one or two. We will know soon enough. For our part, we will just continue doing what we have been doing, relying on our grassroots campaign, also on our Libreng Pabahay program, and also we're relying on our religious sector group support to carry us through to election day.
We're going to have to take another and final quick break. This is Politics as Usual. Stay tuned.
SMC, San Miguel Corporation. Bisag unsang industriya ang sudlan niini, tinguha sa SMC ang pag-uswag o paglambo sa mga Pilipino. Karon, gikan sa SMC, aniya na ang SMC Davao Cement. SMC Davao Cement. Gama sa Davao, para sa Mindanao. SMC Davao Cement. Ato ni Bay.
Highly irresponsible. They were responding to a supposed quote that was completely fabricated, completely false, something that the Vice President never said.
Yeah.
Like all the other candidates, we are committed to having a orderly, honest, clean elections. That hopefully the results will be clear and uncontested. That's why we are monitoring all these all the news that has come out recently regarding supposed problems with the data breach of Smartmatic. But rest assured, if there's going to be trouble here, it's not going to come from our camp. And to suggest otherwise is, I think, the height of irresponsibility.
So no, if let's say the elections are clean and honest, etc., no, orderly, and if Marcos Jr., if it is a President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. At the end, you're not going to make trouble after that. You're not going to make it difficult for the next administration.
Well, let's be clear. That's a very, very hypothetical circumstance because we feel that VP Lenny will emerge the winner in the end. But if, in case she isn't, and so long as the elections are credible, they are honest, then clearly we won't be the ones to start anything here. I think that we should all be united as a people, and all the camps should actually be saying the same thing, that we should respect the results of the election because that's how democracy works. Sometimes the person who gets elected is not the person you want, but we just have to respect that and expect that that person will become a president for everyone.
Richard?
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the strange things that I'm not very comfortable with is these accusations that the opposition could be involved in kind of rigging the elections and all, which is completely preposterous because it's the current administration, right, which is handling it, not the opposition. So if there's anyone who should be concerned, it's probably the other side. I'm not saying there's a problem. I'm just saying if there's going to be concern, logically it should come from that side. The other thing that is making me very uncomfortable about this race is that, unlike the previous elections, we don't have the two authoritative survey agencies regularly coming out. So remember, in the previous elections, you had SWS and Pulse Asia. They had media sponsorship. Every other week or so, you would see results. It's easy for people to track it. They correctly predicted Vice President Leni Robredo's victory in the Pulse Asia survey in 2016, among other things. Now it's not as regular. There's a delay time. There are other new players coming in. We're not very sure about the
Pero
institution.
pandemic factor din, ano?
There are many factors, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, so the pandemic is also making it more difficult.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I'm not also comfortable with is this kind of aura of inevitability. We see some people are saying, it's just a matter of time, and labanan dito is for the second place and all of that. First of all, it just defeats the whole purpose of an election, right? And more than that, it creates this kind of expectation that if anything outside that happens, then automatically something went wrong, right? And I don't think that's very helpful for democracy. I'm very, very worried about that. At the same time, we have other camps who are on this total mode of, no, all the surveys are just a sham. We have our own surveys and all. So this is where...
Every last one of them is saying that...
So
sila
this is my
mananalo
worry.
eh.
If we have no base, right? If we have no base, if we're all going to be post-truth or our own truth and all, it's going to be much more difficult for us to accept the ultimate result of this. And let's be honest, where ISCO strengthens that in terms of net trust rating, I think he does better than most other candidates because he's closest to the median voter. While if you look at Bongbong Marcos and Leni, they're both polarizing. So whichever wins, maybe one has more support than the other, they're quite polarizing, at least to a significant plurality.
Yeah.
So
Well, ito rin yung sinasabi
and
ni
this
Isko,
is the
di ba?
concern. So
Yeah.
that's where I see where the ISCO argument is coming. You vote me, yes, there's some people who don't like what I say, magaspang. But the median voter, the 60%, let's call it, are going to be okay with me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yung
not
ayaw
as
kay Marcos,
polarizing
yung
as the
ayaw-
others.
yung ayaw sa
Especially
Piglawan,
before
oh.
press conference, I think he was not as polarizing. That is what I'm
Especially
saying.
before the press
Yes, I
conference. So
think
now
that-
he is polarizing.
I don't know, but it's
Let's
not
see,
helpful.
no?
I'm just saying it's not helpful
Yeah.
to him and I think also to the race. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know, a few weeks ago nga, when you were here, di ba, ang pinag-usapan natin, dapat kasi may runoff elections, ang hirap ng ganito, 10 kandidato mo. But anyway, okay. Final words, very quickly, we'll start with Sir Buddy Zamora. Sir?
Yes, I'll make a fearless prediction that the elections will go ahead in May 9 without anybody backing out from the race. So there are 10 candidates we have for president. All will remain running until the very end. That's my fearless prediction. And what we're hoping for is we will be the dark horse to perhaps win over the perceived number one and number two.
Well, yeah, everyone else is saying they'll be the dark horse. Thank you so much, Sir Buddy Zamora. Let's go to Barry Gutierrez. Final words, Barry.
Well, I agree with Richard. It's too early to call it. The latest pulse survey actually was conducted in March, so it's almost a month out of date. And with 20 days left, I think that clearly the momentum is ours, and the surveys actually indicate that her numbers are on the upswing. So we think that we're in a good position here, and that on election day we will be able to pull up, well, maybe a surprise to some, but definitely to us something that was well within reach all along.
O yun, lahat mananalo. Gilbert Lowenko.
Well, of course, all campaign managers will never admit that they're losing. It's a given that,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but we believe so that we still have a chance at it. And like Richard said, we're aiming for a particular niche, the one that don't like either. And we feel that there is still a large
Are
majority
the ones who feel caught in between.
caught in
no?
between
Oo.
because, you know, our
Sawa
voters are
na,
normally
oo.
silent.
Yeah.
So we're banking on that, and we still feel we have a chance to win. But all of us, you know, in our campaign, you know, the symbol we wear on our shirt is not a decoration. It's called God first. So we all believe that, you know, we are where we're supposed to be, and whatever will happen, you know, that's what God wants. So it's not a decoration. We firmly believe in that. But we're going to fight it out till the end, no matter what. And my candidate's out there slugging it out. I mean, he's the most active of all candidates. He is focused and relentless in terms of campaigning. So we're banking on that, and you know, and as Mr. Barry said, you know, whatever happens, as long as it's a credible election, we will respect the mandate of the people.
Richard?
Well, I talk too much. I think I made a lot of enemies. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna keep it very short. All I'm gonna say is this: I believe this is the most important elections in the past half a century as far as the Philippines is concerned. Whoever becomes the next president, they're either gonna pick up where Duterte left, or they're gonna reverse where Duterte has gone wrong, right? Or right, depending on how we wanna see it. Kaya the stakes are extremely high. So I hope voters out there, they're not looking at this like a horse race lang. I know we make it look like that, but my God, the next generation will pay the price if we get this wrong.
Thank you so much to our guests tonight. Mr. Buddy Zamora, campaign manager for Senator Manny Pacquiao. Attorney Barry Gutierrez, spokesperson for VP Leni Robredo's campaign. Gilbert Lawenco of the Isko Moreno campaign. And Richard Heydarian, regular analyst on the show. Co-anchor na, na-promote ka na. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us tonight. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk digital warfare. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show. Your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Pia Ontiveros. See you back here next Tuesday, 8 p.m.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda, DXKT Davao, member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.